first of all, congratulations to you, Michael, and to the Wellesley on producing this. One of the things that's most helpful is the actual dollar figures attached. Clearly, there are a broad range of benefits from having, for the individuals involved and for us as a community, of having people in homes rather than in shelters around the street. But I'm wondering if in the dollar figures you're outlining, particularly the additional costs, if those are net of some of the direct other benefits. For example, operating costs largely go into salaries of people who are then working and paying taxes. Have you netted that out, or is that an additional actual reduction in the net cost of implementing this?
That's a great question from John Campy at the Community Social Plan Council about costs and about benefits, and we've attempted to try and get at some of that. The figures that you see in the shorter blueprint document are the costs before we attempt to deal with them. But I do want to mention a few of the benefits. One of the things that we were very struck by, I was personally, I don't get surprised easily by housing or homeless numbers these days because I've been around for a while, but I was shocked, to be honest, when I was looking at property tax numbers and was looking at who pays property tax in the City of Toronto, and I assumed that the biggest property taxpayers would be the big bank buildings just south of here because they've got tall buildings and very expensive real estate, and that's how you assess property tax. But in fact, the single biggest property taxpayer in the City of Toronto is the Toronto Community Housing Company, which is the city's non-profit housing agency. It pays $120 million a year to the city in property taxes. And ever since I learned that little tiny factoid, I've been saying to municipal politicians, you should be getting lots more non-profit housing because it's good for taxes. You're getting lots of money out of non-profit housing. That's one of the economic benefits that we quantify. We also are using some economic multipliers, and because Harvey's here, we'll give them credit as well. A study that originally was done by the former Cooperative Housing Association of Ontario, looking at the numbers of jobs and the tax revenue generated. One other thing I'll say to you that many people in this room will know, Charles Caddo, who's head of Frontiers Foundation and built one of the most recent successful housing projects, Project Amic, out in Coxwell, and he got about $900,000 in government support in one way or another, grants, this, that, and the other thing. But he's calculated that he paid over $1.5 million back to the government in terms of both direct and indirect taxes. So he says that it's actually not non-profit housing when it comes to government, that he's putting more money back in their coffers than they're giving to him. And I think that's an important argument to make for people who do look at the bottom line. At the Wellesley, of course, I do need to say that our approach is the health approach, and we believe that it's important to address these issues from an urban health perspective, but there's also a bottom line, which our CEO and others are always anxious for us to stress as well. And if he was here, he would be very happy to hear me say this, that the issues that you've brought up are very important, and we would like to do some more detailed costing of that and to offset some of these figures, because on their own, some of the figures look big. It looks big to say we want to spend $500 million a year on the capital side for new housing and related initiatives. That sounds like a lot of money, but when you then factor in what are the benefits back in terms of jobs, in terms of tax revenue to governments, and other economic multipliers, that amount begins to shrink right down.